People who had suffered losses at his hand, yet escaped death, would be invited by Meng here, to be entertained with the finest wine and women, then sent away with travel expenses covered. The two characters in the nickname Meng Chang came from this practice. As for the Iron Guts nickname, it simply meant that he didn't fear death. Only people who didn't fear death would dare to oppose Dragon Fifth. Much wine was imbibed, and the cursing proceeded with vigor. It was already late at night. 3. Those who were only listening were tired, but those who were cursing Dragon Fifth were filled with energy. Eventually, there were only 2 people left in the room, and they had already drunk enough wine for 10 people. Liu Qingji suddenly asked Mength, "Were you also beaten up by him?" Mength shook his head. "Never." "Did he kill your son? Steal your wife?" "No." "So why do you hate him so much?" "Because he's a son of a BTCH." Liu Qingji was silent for a moment. "Actually, he isn't really a son of a BTCH." Mength laughed. "I know. He doesn't even compare to dogs." Liu Qingji was silent again, but then laughed. "Actually, he is a little bit better than dogs." Mength stared at him for a long moment. Then he reluctantly agreed. "Maybe a little better. But at the most he's only a little better. At least he's a little smarter than a dog." Mength agreed reluctantly. "There are definitely some dogs in the world that are not as smart as him." "After all," said Liu Qingji, "a person like Lion King Lantang is willing to be his lackey. It shows that even if he isn't a great person, he at least is willing to treat people well sometimes. Otherwise, no one would be willing to work so hard for him." "He didn't treat you well," said Mength coldly. Liu Qingji sighed. "Actually, it's not a big surprise. I'm just a stranger, and he had no idea who I was. How could he know whether or not I could really help him with his task?" Mength suddenly slapped the table and jumped up. Staring at Liu Qingji, he shouted, "What's that supposed to mean? He beat you half to death, and you're suddenly talking about going to work for him again?" "I'm just thinking," said Liu Qingji calmly. "Maybe there was a reason he treated me like that. He doesn't seem like a completely unreasonable person." Mength laughed coldly. "Don't tell me you want to go see him again, and ask